Hi folks, this is Joe from DIY Wood Guy. Hey, I'm happy to have you join me this week, and what I'm going to show you today is a bit of a cool design process to make something called a parametric wall. Now, a parametric wall is a pretty simple concept, but it becomes advanced in the design process. You see, all of these components are made specifically out of 3/4 inch plywood, and they're basically just set in an array, but the challenge is designing the components so that they all work together three-dimensionally. Now, I'm going to be showing some free design software here today. This is called Google SketchUp, and SketchUp is actually really easy to use. So SketchUp has been around for years. There's all sorts of different add-ins and extensions and things to make this very user-friendly. And with just a couple of clicks of the mouse, you too can design this. I'm going to show you how to do it today on DIY Wood Guy. Parametric walls are walls that are designed using computer software, and they're typically made with three-dimensional components and shapes, and they're really featured heavily by big architectural designers. They typically retail at several thousand to hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they can be quite complex. The wall that I'm showing you today is not one that's very difficult. In fact, this can be designed within just a couple of minutes, and you know, it's an easy process to follow once you get the basic concept down. We're going to be using a couple of advanced tools and a couple of downloaded extensions. I'm going to show you how to walk through all of those processes. Okay, we're first going to begin by enabling the right toolbars. Now, I'm going to enable something that's called Sandbox, and that's a toolbar that's available and it's native to the SketchUp Make 2017, 2018, and prior versions. And Sandbox is a wonderful set of tools because it gives you some 3D modeling capabilities. The other major tool set that I'm going to be using is called Slicer. Now, Slicer is an add-in extension and it's available for free, but you're going to have to go out to the web to get it. So we're going to begin by going to sketchucation.com. We're going to begin by clicking on the Register button. Now, when you register, there's a couple of different options. You can register for a basic membership, Premium Plus, or Premium membership. However, if you click this button here, you can sign up for free and you'll be able to get a number of components that'll work just fine. Now, once you've signed into Sketchucation, what you'll want to do is come up to their search bar and you'll want to type in Slicer. Okay, and here are the results. Now, Slicer has a couple of different hits, but we want to click the second one because that's the actual plugin that we want to create. Next, we see an overview screen of what Slicer does for SketchUp, and we're going to simply click this download button. Now, don't worry, no viruses, no other components are going to be downloaded, it's just the tool. Now, once you've downloaded Slicer, you'll want to come up to the toolbar, right-click, and select the Slicer option. That'll open up a new toolbar, and we're going to need that for what we're going to do today. Okay, our next step is going to be using Sandbox tools. We'll click on the second icon, which is the From Scratch. Now, the first time you use this icon, you're going to notice in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen that your grid spacing is 120. Before you click anything, simply type in 1, enter, to make your grid spacing at 1 inch. Click and hold, drag across the screen, and make sure that you're in the red axis. Release, and type in the number 160, and that'll correspond to 160 inches. You're next going to click and hold again, drag in the green axis, and type in the number 96. You now have an array that is 160 by 96 inches. You're next going to click your Select tool and double-click on the array that you just created. Pan now to an area of the screen where you can see the whole array. Now, for our purposes, I'm going to create an array that has 3 different raindrops. So I'm going to use my bucket tool to paint 3 different spots. Next, hold Shift down and select each of the 3 squares. Once the areas have been selected, you're going to click on a new tool called the Smooth tool. Now, when the Smooth tool first loads up, you'll notice that a radius of 360 degrees is the common setting. That's not going to be helpful for what we want to do, so we want to set a radius of 40. So simply type 40, enter. Our next step is to pull each of these components up and down. I'm going to simply click on one of the components and pull up and hold. Now, before releasing, I'm going to want to type the measurement that I want it to pull up. 50, enter, and now I release my left mouse button. And there's my first jump. Now I'm going to change my radius to a radius of 36. Simply type 36, enter, click and hold, pull down, and type the number -85, enter, and release your left mouse button. My next measurement is 28, so I'll type 28, enter, and I'll pull up 70. Okay, you've now completed your first sequence of radius changes and push-pulls, and rather than showing you each of the additional steps, I'm going to simply give you a list of the key measurements to follow. I found the key here is to take your time, allow the computer to process, and don't rush things. Next, using the line and rectangle tools, we'll create a line at 3 inches from the top and fill in with the rectangle and other lines to make a complete solid. To use the slicer, simply come up to the first icon, Slicer 5. Here I have a number of options for how I want to choose to slice. In this case, I'm going to slice on the x-axis every 2 inches with a thickness of 3/4 of an inch, representing the thickness of the material that I'm going to use for the project. I'll do 0 inset at the start, 0 inset at the end, and I can leave the rest of the components the same. Okay, now I can't stress enough to be patient with the process. You'll oftentimes find that your computer is processing through a large amount of information with the details that we've set in this project. But we need those contours and those details to form what we've got here. Now you can see that the model has been sliced appropriately, and now instead of a 3D object, we have multiple sheets of plywood, which we're then going to cut and then assemble into our final form. Here you can see that I've panned to the side of the project, and you can see the individual components laid out in flatwork. This is what's going to be very valuable for us because these are the components that we're going to then be able to print and scale. What also makes it nice is that they're pre-numbered so that you'll know exactly which component goes where when you begin to assemble. Okay, so there you have it, a parametric wall. So it's not really that bad in hindsight, just looking at the step-by-step approach. If you just take your time with it, you can actually create that too. So don't get intimidated by the process, and you can certainly scale down what I did to a much smaller model. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I can't even tell you how excited I am to get this project done because it's going to be big, it's going to be huge, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you'll join me over the next couple of weeks and take a look at how it all turns out. Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, don't forget, like and subscribe.